My name is Harold Sydney Bride. I'm 22, from South London, and I was the junior wireless telegraph operator on Titanic. I suppose it was around 2:05 when the captain came and relieved us from our duty. The senior operator, Jack Phillips, was sending at the time. He'd been at the apparatus for most of the night. I only relieved him momentarily. After the captain left, Jack stayed on. I'd gathered lots of things of ours together, money and valuables. And then I told him it was time to go. And he didn't move. He stayed, sending. It was like he was in some sort of trance. He wouldn't leave, and I tried to stay and get him to leave, but he wouldn't go. So I stayed with him. And waited until he was ready to go. Water was coming into the cabin, and it seemed to pull him out of it a bit. He then made the call for us to leave. We headed out to the portside boat deck. All the lifeboats were gone. All except a collapsible boat that had been on the top of the roof of the officers' quarters. It was upturned, it had fallen off, and men were trying to right it. I thought that would be the best course of action, so I stayed and tried to help. I noticed that Phillips wasn't by my side. I looked around and I saw him run off. I tried to shout after him, but with the noise and everything, he was gone. Part of me thought at the time that I should run after him, pull him back, because he wasn't in his right mind by that point. But I didn't. I stayed. Never saw him again. Never spoke to him again. Wouldn't even say goodbye or good luck. When I was holding on to an oarlock of the collapsible, a large wave came and took both me and the collapsible off of the boat deck. It was agony. The freezing water hitting me, it was like 1,000 blades into my skin. I couldn't catch my breath. I realised I was fully submerged in the water. But not only that, I realised I was underneath the collapsible, trapped in the little air pocket. I did try to call for help, but under all the chaos, nobody would have heard me. And then I thought that I would have to swim underneath to get out. But my life preserver stopped me from doing that. Kept pushing me to the top. And then somehow, I don't know how, I don't remember, but I suddenly found myself outside of it. I looked up and I could see starlight. And all the screams were louder again. I was concerned about the suction, so I started to swim away. I must have swum about 150 yards, or thereabouts. Not stopping, not looking back. And then I did stop. And I realised that there was nothing for me to cling on to. There was no boats around there. And I turned round and I saw that the collapsible had drifted off, away from the ship. And people were trying to get on that. I thought that was my best chance. So I swam back. I was just about spent. By the time that I got there, I was done in. But then I suddenly felt a hand reaching out to me. And I took it. And they dragged me up on top of the boat. I clung on for dear life. I wedged my feet in the slats so I wouldn't fall off. There was an officer there, keeping control, keeping the balance. I learned it was Mr. Lightoller, the second officer. It was mostly crew. There were some passengers, but mostly crew. It got to the point where they had to stop people from getting on, so that we wouldn't capsize or sink. There must have been about 30 of us. Gradually throughout the night, that got less. I did watch her sink. She was so quiet when she dipped below the waves. She was quiet. Those around her weren't. Until they were. And when she was gone, it was flat come again. Like a mill pond. Apart from those splashing around. But that soon died down. We didn't talk much. Somebody recognised the bands on my jacket and realised I was a Marconi man. And they asked if there was help coming. I said there was. I said it'd be a few hours. So we clung on. My fingers were going numb from the cold, and somebody was on my feet, crushing them. I didn't ask him to move. I didn't want him to fall off or to make us lose our balance, so I just let him do it. There was a man that suggested that we say the Lord's Prayer. And so that's what we did. As the time went on, the shouting stopped. The screaming stopped. And the trapped air underneath us was getting less. We were slowly sinking ourselves. More water was going over the top. My feet was totally submerged. And the waves slowly started to get up. And every so often the wave would come and crash over my head. I was gasping in between. But I couldn't move. I was frozen there. Mr. Lightholder started to blow his whistle for help, hoping that some of the other lifeboats nearby would come and rescue us. And he did. 2 boats came to our aid. Some had a little space. Some had a lot more space. I was dragged aboard. And there I sat, watching the horizon. I could see the lights of the Carpathia off in the distance. I just remember watching them grow bigger, and the light dawn breaking. I think it was about 4 o'clock when she arrived, and the first boat started to go to her. We waited a couple hours before we went. I remember seeing the ladders getting tossed over the side from the gangway doors and from the boat deck. Slings and nets. We let the women and the children from our boats go first. The children were tossed into the nets, and the more injured were hoisted up in the swings. I remember having a steely determination to climb the ladder. Despite the pain that was in my feet, I just decided that that's what I was going to do. And I remember being helped onto my feet and grasping hold of the ladder. And I remember feeling the pain shoot up my leg, into my chest, and into my head when my foot set on that first rung. And then the next one, the same. I was using all my strength in my arms to pull myself up. But I could feel myself starting to go. I feel the tightness in my chest and my breathing starting to change, and my head starting to feel light. My vision went blurry, and I suddenly felt all these hands reaching out to me, grabbing me, pulling me up. I don't remember much after that. I remember coming to in a cabin. I felt someone down at my feet, and I felt someone else up on my head. I could feel these soft fingers caressing my cheek and going through my curls. They were warm. I woke up gasping, shivering. I didn't know where I was. And I remember them saying that I was all right, that I was safe, I was all right. And then someone put a bottle to my lips. It was liquor. Said it would warm me up a bit. And next thing I know, I was being carried down to the hospital. The feet pained terribly. I remember being set down in a bed in the hospital. A nurse felt my head, felt my neck. She held my hand. I couldn't feel much in my hands. I looked at them and they were white, nearly blue. I couldn't move them, they were stiff. I couldn't really feel her holding my hand. I remember trying to warm them up. And I remember the doctor looking at my feet. He suggested that the frostbite might be too bad, that they might need to amputate bits. Well, I said no. I couldn't do that. I couldn't live with that. I begged him not to. Anything else, just give me a chance. And he did. He said that we would see how it goes and just wrap them. He wrapped both feet. Big bandages. And I remember lying there, still gasping. Still like I was out there fighting for my breath. Still thinking about Phillips. Where he was. Was he there? Was he out there? Was he in the water? A kind lady came. And she had a cup of tea with her. And she helped me drink it. She put it to my lips and I could feel the warmth. I must have lain there for about 10 hours or so. Just thinking. I could hear people crying. People looking for their husbands, for the children. And then some officers, the Carpathia, came and spoke to me. They said that the wireless man was acting queer and would I help? He hadn't slept, you see. He still had all the passenger lists to send out. So I agreed. The doctor tried to refuse and demand that I stayed in bed, but I said I'd crawl there if I have to. So 2 men came, took me into their arms, and carried me up to the Marconi room. And that's where I met Cottam again. I saw the bags under his eyes. He was almost as pale as me. He was excited. Well, as excited as he could be in exhaustion. Excited to see me. They set me down at the chair at the wireless. And suddenly I was back there again. Smell of the varnish. Feel the smoothness of the polish. Smell the metal of the generator. In front of me was pages, pages of names. Cottam said he got through the first and second class passengers. He had third and the crew to do. So I said I'd take over. I remember looking at the crew list, hoping that I'd seen Philip's name. But I didn't. I knew I wouldn't. But I hoped. And then I got really frustrated. They didn't understand European Morse. That's just standard Morse. One man said that he thought he could do it. He should know his business better. I must have sent that list about 3 times over. Sending and sending, letter by letter. When we arrived in New York, the noise was like it was when we were out at sea. The shouting and the screaming, the flashes of the camera. It was too much. There were reporters and boats around the ship trying to get a glimpse of us. I tried to ignore it all. Try and finish my duty. And then I got a tap on the shoulder. I turned round and it was Mr. Marconi. I got up to stand, but he stopped me, indicating my bandages. I'd sort of forgot about them. With him was a reporter from the New York Times, Mr. Russell. We were told if we spoke to him, we'd get $1,000. Well, we agreed. We had to cut the interview short. The ambulances had started to arrive, and there were men with a stretcher waiting for me. Cotton helped me on with my long coat, got me an hat. And then 2 men came and carried me from the cabin down onto the boat deck. Put me onto the stretcher. Carried me down the gangway onto the dock. Thousands of faces there. For that first time, I felt scared. I felt vulnerable. I guess that was the first time I really felt like it was real. That really happened, didn't it? Because then I was in an ambulance with 2 men I didn't know, in a country I didn't really know, heading to hospital. They took me to an hospital called St. Vincent's. And when I was there, a doctor examined me. Took a look at my feet. Prescribed plenty of bed rest. I don't think I made the best patient. All I wanted to do was go back and finish my job. Finish my duty. Like Phillips. They sent me to my aunt and my uncles. They were clearly at the window waiting for me, because they ran out straight away to greet me. Cotton was with them. I gave him their address. They'd offered him a bed. I was wheeled out in an invalid chair, and then I had to be carried up to their apartment by my uncle and Cotton. They set me down in a big armchair next to the fire. My cousin fetched me a coffee. Anything to warm me up, they said. I didn't know what to say to them. And I don't think they know what to say to me either. We didn't talk about it. Perhaps Cotton told them all they needed to know before I got there. The previous day, I had been reported missing. It was a mistake. It was soon corrected, and a man was sent over from the New York Times with a telegram from my father and my mother. They'd heard I was safe, and they told me that they were proud of me. They hoped I was getting looked after, and they wanted to see me soon. Tomorrow, I'll attend the inquiry. It's being done by Senator Smith. Mr. Ismay was in today. By all accounts, he's not getting an easy time with it. I don't know when I'll be back in England. I hope it's soon.